Welcome to the Graffiti Jungle, Paulo Pulingwe. Benvenuti nella giungla di graffiti. Questo è Impostore Rockstar. It's a fake rockstar chat show. Pensieri Tangenziali, formerly known as Tangential Thoughts Chat Show. We got a podcast we worked on Friday, on the last Friday of 2025. Today is Tuesday. It's the last Tuesday of 2025, and tomorrow's the last day of 2025. Sono Tokabi, sono Chief Gihareh, Julius, let's get run up on there. Alright. So, what do we want to say here? Okay, last 15 minutes. Spike set the plan up with Faye. Faye, go to the weather station, make it rain. I make it rain, I make it, yeah. Jet, get some 20 airplanes, yeah. So, Spike has to, I don't know who, I guess army people coming after him, I don't know. There was some people coming after him. He had to get away from him. He go over the bridge, under the bridge, around this, around that. Make this, shoot this part of the water, go through the water, shoot that part of the bridge, go that part of the bridge. Like, he's like getting around the missiles and the airplanes and whatnot. Then, what happens from here? He goes to his plane, just barely makes it. And then after he gets away, his plane just barely makes it. Stops on the bridge in front of a taxi. He gets in a taxi, then gotta go to the city. In the city, it's gonna be a parade. It's a party, it's a parade. And Vincent, I was trying to remember who was the guy that Spike really, he doesn't like being compared to Vicious. That was the guy. Vicious, because I was like, yo, who's the guy that Spike doesn't like getting compared to? Spike get mad if you compare him to Vicious or whatever. And then when I looked it up, I saw there was something about Spike, and it said something about Spike and fell in love with Vicious' girlfriend, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. I was like, where did this come from, bro? So I was like, oh, but then from there, what happens from there? So Spike gets in the taxi, makes it to the city, and then he looks at the tall, little light tower, not light tower, the little thing with the, it looked like an Eiffel Tower, basically. He looks at that and he was like, oh, the bridge that connects the earth and the heavens. So he goes there, he hops off the taxi, goes over there. His plane doesn't crash, but it lands on the bridge, gets in the taxi goes over there, he's like, yo, it's a parade, we're not gonna really get there, it's gonna take a long time. They got a Halloween parade going on, like the Macy's Day Parade. It's like a Halloween parade, da-da-da. Then he goes up. Then him and Vincent get into a fight. And so they're just going back and forth. They're fighting. And then, okay, after their fight, what happens after the fight? They're fighting, and he was like, yeah, I'm just a bounty hunter. I don't care about saving the world. Then, Vincent presses the button. After Vincent presses the button, that spreads out the whole. It's a kaboom. The little jack-o'-lantern goes kaboom, and then, but this is the one thing about it. Just kind of sort of look whatever. So Spike told Jet to get the airplanes. The airplanes had the vaccine, and when they got close, they was like, all right, we're near the city. So the airplanes dropped the vaccine in the air. It was like chemtrails. So the airplanes dropped the vaccine in the air, and then when Faye went to the weather station and made it rain, that helped the whole thing. So even though he put the nanobots and technology, he did the whole thing to make it spread, they dropped the vaccine in the air and then made it rain, so everybody's gonna be good. Then Elektra comes. Remember, Elektra was talking about she fell in love with him. She wasn't sure about this and the third. Him and Spike are fighting, and then it gets back down to it. Now, earlier in the early in the movie, Vincent was talking about, you see the butterflies? So with the nanotechnology, it gets in your body, it basically disintegrates your body, then it gets to the brain, it destroys your brain, and then and then from there, it gets in your body, destroys the brain, and then it turns into a protein. So basically, like, you never even know that it was there. Like, it turns into a protein. So, um, but when that Arab guy was talking and when Vincent was talking, they basically talked about, like, yeah, it gets and destroys the brain, and then, like, you start seeing these lights, and it's like the butterflies. And so Vincent be saying, like, he was like, he not sure when he's dreaming and what's real and what's not. And so he was like, is this part of the dream that I don't want to wake up from, or is this part of reality? And they have a different way of phrasing it, but he doesn't know, like, that's basically what he's trying to say. He was like, is this part of the dream, or is this actually real? And is it part of the, like, so he goes back and forth between that. And then Spike starts to see the butterflies because of whatever. And then Electra comes, and he was like, well, Vincent is pointed, whatchamacallit, at Spike's head. And then Electra comes, she's like, yeah, I can't let you get away this time, this and the third. So he looks over at her, and then he's like, but basically it seemed as if they were both trying to, like, they both are aiming at each other, and it seemed as if they were trying to go out together. Um, but he doesn't pull the trigger, and she does. And then he's like, I remember now. And then he was like, of all my days I lived with you, the days spent with you felt the most real. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, they're cooking a little bit. Um, I'm not about to go back and watch it. He was saying something about, it was a way they phrased it, about the whole, is this part of the dream, or, because it was like with the butterflies. He was like, are the butterflies real? And the rest of this is a dream? Or are the butterflies part of the dream, and then this is real? And that type of thing. He was basically saying something along those type of lines. He sees, like, I see these butterflies, and they're the most beautiful light ever. So Vincent Electra takes out Vincent, but he doesn't whatchamacallit. But basically he tells her that he loved her. And then she was like, oh. She looks up in the sky, and it's raining. And so she's like, oh. she he basically tells her that, and then she looks up and it's like raining. So she's like crying. And then the only other thing was, like, there's this scene, and Spike just, like, but he doesn't actually light the cigarette. So he takes the cigarette out. He takes the cigarette out the pack, and then he just does, he flicks the cigarette. He doesn't actually light the cigarette. Middle of the fight. What are you doing? What's going on? So that was the Cowboy Bebop movie. That's the last 15 minutes of it. It was just mainly the fight, and then taking out Vincent or whatever. So it just felt like the movie felt like a long session. Like, the episodes, it just felt like a longer version of those. But I think it was good in the sense that it finally gave it felt like that's what they needed, or, like, because I always felt like the shows felt kind of sort of rushed. And so it didn't feel rushed in any sense. And so that was one of the things about it. And it felt like that's how it was kind of supposed to flow and kind of supposed to go. So, yeah, because I'm not sure if it was this one. Yeah, it was. Like, certain things would happen, and yeah, I think Bebop was where I started, whatchamacallit. Certain things would happen. I'm like, yo, this has to happen. It's just making it happen, so it, like, forces the plot and move it along. Whereas Samurai Champloo cleaned that up a little bit better, but it was still a little bit there and here and there. Cowboy Bebop, this is why I say, like, I just felt like the sessions needed more time, and they felt rushed in certain regards. And so from there, it was, okay, now it felt like it didn't have to get rushed. It didn't have to do all of that. And so, like, that's all I'm trying to say. Like, as far as pacing goes, it felt like the sessions needed that time so that they didn't feel rushed. So That's my only thing about that. But I was trying to make this point earlier, like, it feels, they called it a movie, but that's just based off how long it was. Pause. Like, it was, almost an hour and 50 minutes. It was like an hour and 50 minutes. So that's why it was a movie, but it felt like it, outside of the graphics, um, it looked better, you know what I'm saying? But it's been, if it came out in 2001, that's 2000, like you had a year or two just to, whatchamacallit. So it was just, it felt like a session, and it felt like, okay, you haven't been whatchamacallit anyway. So yeah, it looked good. Um, and so I'm gonna go ahead and finish the last 3 sessions. I'm not sure when though, but I'm gonna finish the last 3 sessions, um, just to see like what else is going on with it, like how does it end? Because then the movie comes after. So just see what they do with the last 3 sessions, and that was like, so that at least my point was just like, it's a movie, but it just felt like a long session. I didn't particularly enjoy the music in this. None of the music scores. Usually, you kind of credit them for that. Like, it's some type of vibe. It's just different. Usually, it's like even more of a jazz vibe. It just wasn't. It started with this up tempo, high like energy. Um, this up tempo, high energy uh, country music, and I was like, yeah, I'm not right. And then it was like that that you know, like it wasn't like heavy metal rock, it was like rock music or something, and I was like, yeah, I just wasn't rocking with none of the music scores and selections. And then, sometimes I understand, like, but like if it's like when Spike was moving around and the Rangers are after him, that's different. Like I understand like the music for that, but like the other ones and this and that, I didn't know. Everybody really pretty much plays that part. Edward, Ein, Faye, uh, Jet. Jet has the most minimal role of all of them throughout this. Everybody kind of does their same. It's like a similar vibe. Everybody does their own thing. And it's like, so, like you had a couple sessions that were dedicated to Edward, or Ein needed to be important. But in this one, everybody has a decent amount of importance except for Jet. Jet was like the minimal of importance, but that was he's the older guy in the group. Um, I'm trying to figure out the point I'm trying to make with as far as I'm trying to figure out the question as far as what could have been done differently, because it just felt like a session, but I'm trying to figure out what would have been different as far as like, oh, like I said, I said that earlier, like some more of those backdrop events, like, oh, this is the event, this is what happened before this, or how we get to this point, how we get to that point, like, because that's what like Pokemon does. Pokemon, like with the games, some of the games are like, well, here's beginning, here's intro, here's this, here's that, like those parts around it. Of like, okay, well then you like, oh, this is how you get to this point, this is how you get to that point. So Pokemon does that. I'm trying to think like the first Pokemon movie, but those are like with the legendaries and whatnot. Yeah, so it could have been as simple as like when Spike was in, like this is I saw the Red Dragon thing, those type of things, or when whatchamacallit was a cop, you know what I'm saying? Or how did Spike and Jet officially first meet, and we know how where Faye comes along. We know how Faye gets in there, but um, but when did Spike and Jet first meet? And so yeah, you got to stop asking me questions that's not related to what I'm talking about. I'm just blocking people. Just keep doing that, bro. That is annoying, and you know it. So I will consider you a distraction, and all distractions have to get eliminated. Don't do that.